So from a traditionalist perspective, this is not exactly the recipe that I would want to do because I prefer to smoke them. But if you think you can't have great ribs without a smoker, then I think we need to readdress that.
You think coffee's just for drinking? But also, it can be used in many other ways. That's why today's video is sponsored by Trade Coffee. You see, Trade Coffee has a massive selection of some of the greatest roasted to order coffee in the world. But look, I'm a little bit indecisive. That's why I love their coffee matchmaker function that will set you up with the perfect coffee for you. And if you click the link below, you'll get 30% off your first bag of coffee with Trade Coffee. So from me and Trade Coffee to you, we kiss you.
Okay, so we are making ribs, whether you have a smoker or not, but hopefully you have a grill. But also you can do without a grill. The point is, I want people to be able to make delicious barbecue, smoky-ish, glazed, lacquered, kissed, loved, snuggled ribs that melt in your mouth. Let me tell you something. If that rib bone doesn't slide on out real nice and smooth, then you need help. So with all that said, let's make this, shall we?
Okay, so to get things started, we need to make our rib rub. Start off with 2 tablespoons or 20 grams of kosher salt, 1 tablespoon or 12 grams of brown sugar, and 1 tablespoon or 9 grams of smoked paprika, 1 tablespoon or 10 grams of garlic powder, and obviously since we're talking about coffee, 2 tablespoons or 10 grams of fresh, finely ground coffee. Make sure this is the good stuff. I'm not talking any cheapo stuff, all right? You know where to go for this. Give that some whiskey business until everything's thoroughly combined. And would you look at that? That's a gosh darn rib rub. Now, before you get to rubbing your ribs, you're gonna want to make sure that you remove this layer of tissue that runs along the top of the ribs. Now, lots of places will remove this, but you can always tell it's there if there's like a shiny sort of hard film. You can't really cut through it. That stuff is not gonna get cooked off, so just kind of work your finger under there. Look, no inappropriate jokes, all right? And it should peel off relatively easily. Once that peels off, you got this nice little revealed rib piece, and the whole thing is edible. It's great, minus the bone, obviously. This is enough rub for 2 to 4 racks of St. Louis or baby back ribs, depending on their size. Season each rack of ribs very generously with your rib rub, and well, obviously you're gonna rub it all over because it's a rib rub and you should be rubbing your ribs. Now, once all your racks are rubbed, God, I'm saying this a lot, place each individual rack in an envelope of foil. Give a little splash of a vinegar of your choice. I actually use this yuzu rice vinegar. Saw Brad Leone using it. He's a homie, so I had to do it. Then just take the foil and fold it up and around the ribs, sort of creating a nice crease at the top. You want to do this in a way so it can't leak out the bottom. That's very, very important. You're closing the envelope at the very top on all edges. There are no edges that lead to leakage anywhere. Seal it nice and tight and place it in an oven set to 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 2.5 to 3 hours or until extremely tender. And by tender, I mean you should be able to pull the rib bones out real easy. While that's cooking, let's make our Barbie sauce. So in a pot, you're going to combine 1 cup or 285 grams of ketchup, a 1/4 cup or 50 grams of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons or 7 grams of kosher salt, 2 tablespoons or 24 grams of white vinegar. Look, there's a lot of ingredients, obviously. We're almost there. 2 tablespoons or 24 grams of yuzu rice vinegar or apple cider vinegar, 1/2 cup or 120 grams of water, 1 tablespoon or 10 grams of garlic powder, and 1 tablespoon or 10 grams of smoked paprika. You can also add a little bit of your coffee seasoning and a splash of shidashi if you're feeling extra fancy. Then just mix that together, place it over medium heat, and simmer that sauce for 30 minutes or until nice and reduced and thicky like this. Now hold up a minute. So this is a tasty barbecue sauce. It's great, sure, cool. You can use it for lots of stuff. It's gonna work just fine as it is, but why not take it just an extra step further by also cold smoking it? If you have any sort of a cold smoking gun, you should absolutely use it at this point. I'd recommend filling the bowl up with smoke and let it sit covered for 10 minutes and repeat that 2 to 3 times or until it's nice and smoky tasting. Not required, but tasty. Okay, so once your ribs are done, take them out of the oven, open them up, bathe in their glorious beauty. Now look, at this point, you can do a couple different things. I personally like to grill mine and glaze them, but before you do that, you really want to let this cool down a little bit because they will fall apart on the grill. I actually like to chill mine overnight, but hey, if you don't want to go that far, then you can absolutely just glaze them and broil them. Whatever method you choose, just make sure that you're charring them while also constantly glazing them until they get a nice thick lacquer. So you can see me grilling them here and brushing them. Then that's pretty much it. Once they're nice and lacquered, hot, and they got a little bit of crispy going on, then I would say that the little piggy went home. And by home, I mean you got a nice glazed rack of ribs. And it's time to eat.
Okay, so it's Wibby. You see, that's how you know they're tenders, when this happens. Yes, cuisine.
We got St. Louis, but we also got babied back. Yeah. St. Louis style ribs. I mean, look. Ah!
That's tender.
We'll have a little bite. All right. You know what? Good. I personally think this recipe is better for St. Louis ribs instead of the baby back ribs because baby back ribs are kind of fatted and therefore the glaze doesn't penetrate as much. So unless you're smoking them, St. Louis ribs glaze really well with this recipe. Solid, 10 out of 10. If you don't have a smoker, but you want to have solid ribs, this is the only way that you should be going.
But you want to know what else is the only way you should be going? B-roll.
Alright guys, and that is it. So we made ribs without a smoker, and you know what? They turned out really good. I would just say the biggest thing that makes these ribs so great is making sure that you get a nice thick lacquer and making sure that you add plenty of salt. Salty, salty, salty. And also letting them rest overnight with that seasoning flavor. Really quick, thank you to Trade Coffee so much for sponsoring this video. Guys, don't forget to take advantage of the 30% off deal. The link is in the description. Be sure to click that. We love these guys. You know, I drink their coffee all the time, and they genuinely have all of my favorite coffees, and I really mean that. It's not just like because it's a sponsorship, but that's like a real thing. A lot of really cool things that we started doing that is involving some major players in the game, and I can't quite tell you, I know I've said this the last few times, but man, y'all better get ready, because as soon as this whole, like, you gotta stay in your goddamn home and be like chilling in here with your lasso, as soon as that's gone, whoa, bro.
It's gonna be crazy.
If there's anything you guys want to see in the meantime, I'm really curious what everybody's thinking about, you know, life and food and what they see with their life. What do you want to see during this time before social distancing is lifted? What do you want to see food-wise, cooking-wise? Hit me in the comments, DM me on Instagram. You know that all that's in the link in the description. That's a classic YouTube-y thing to say. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video or you learned something, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you next time.